The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time is still one of my favorite games of all time, and with good reason. It was the first game I was truly able to get lost in. I remember running around in Deku Forest, getting lost in Lost Woods, finally beating Gahoma, and being able to leave and explore Hyrule Field. These were the memories of a lifetime. Zelda games have come and gone since then, with varying levels of quality. This year we've had Breath of the Wild, a Zelda game that was supposed to bring Zelda back to its roots. But what is the root of Zelda? Stop me if you heard this one already, but it's the exploration. In the original Zelda, you started off in an open space with no instructions and nowhere to go, right? Well, no, not really. The game's instruction manual detailed exactly what the story is and where to go in the beginning. The game also came with a map, which detailed 90% of the overworld and some of the secrets pointed out. The manual actually instructed you to try everything everywhere. The secrets had no distinct markings, and the game encouraged gamers to share information with their friends, or buy a Nintendo Power. Breath of the Wild follows similar footprints. It's a game about exploration, finding cool items, and unique ways of completing challenges. I actually spend more time watching others play the game than I have playing the game myself. Watching others play the game helps you discover just how well the game is designed, and how sharing your stories of your adventures can be vastly different than that of your friends. There are many things to love about Breath of the Wild. The amount of solutions to puzzles, seeing how puzzles can be completed in various ways and how other players can react to the same thing in different ways. Ways that the developer may or may not have intended. The level of interactivity. Cutting down trees or blades of grass yourself is one thing, but having enemies do it is something else. The enemy AI, which can learn things such as covering their weak points, them grabbing an item from the ground, lighting on fire to attack you, or kicking a bomb back at you. All the animations or graphical touches, such as Link being cold, or the face he makes when he eats the dubious food, helps give the game a lot of charm. The NPC's reaction to things like the weather, or the way the dialogue can change when they're talking to a naked Link. The amount of secrets or things to do is staggering. Many of these things are completely optional and most likely will be missed. In the Lost Woods, which is probably one of the coolest parts of the game, the smallest and most subtle hint on what to do, and then seeing how some people can do it completely by accident. But it's not a perfect game. The freeform structure means a lot of things can be missed, such as key characters or events. The lack of any meaningful progression system. Since everything can be done out of order, it never feels like your character is advancing or that the difficulty is rising. And even if you were to skip directly to the Ganon fight, the game gives you all the good weapons inside the castle. In my playthrough, I found the blocking and dodging tutorial about 20 hours into the game. If they wanted to throw in another tutorial, they should have forced it on you in the Great Plateau. Having a random shrine, assuming that the player will go into it, but if it's optional, the player might not do it until well later into the game. The weapon degradation system is talked about a lot and how it's annoying and inconvenient to switch weapons constantly. But I also find that it actively discourages combat. Why bother breaking a weapon or two just to get a chest that has an opal in it? The stamina in the game I felt was too low by default. It could slow movement down to a crawl and usually just encouraged me to fast travel instead. The horses in this game were equally inconvenient. The horses have a hard time navigating in some terrain, so you have to abandon them. More so, you can't summon a horse at will. If you are too far away from where you left them, you either have to backtrack or go back to a stable. The controls in this game are also very iffy. It is way too easy to accidentally tap the shoulder button and send your brand new weapon flying into the sea. For some reason, the gallop button on a horse is different from the standard run button. Changing arrow types is also a pain in the ass. The inventory is just a mess. If your inventory is full, picking up a new item doesn't give you a chance to swap it. But if you do have the space, a button does show up to quickly go to the inventory after you get the item. Towards the end of the game, you will end up with pages and pages of crap you have to go through to choose the item that you want. Cooking in this game is very time consuming to do multiple items, requiring you to skip a short cutscene every time. Speaking of cutscenes, the shrines have just too many. First you have to unlock the dungeon, then you go down the elevator, then you get the intro, then you have tapping the cube, which for some reason is unskippable. Then you get a thanks for solving the puzzle, then you get the item, and then you get goodbye and good luck. All this is unnecessary. All the shrines and beasts are aesthetically similar. It'd be nice to have some more variety in the design and the music. The bosses are way too easy and just involve you whacking it until it's dead. There's no hunting a weak point like you had in previous Zeldas. Actually felt like the Hinox and Lynels in the game were more of a challenge and were a lot more unique. With all the hearts, foods, potions, armor, it makes the game way too easy. In Ocarina, I had 4 bottles for fairies and potions. Breath of the Wild gives you a ridiculous amount of things you can carry, so you never run out during a fight. After I got a certain amount of Korok seeds or shrines, there was little point for me to collect the rest. There is an overwhelming amount of Korok seeds that makes you not want to do them without a guide of some kind. The lead ups to the beast are very inconsistent. The Zora one is pretty good. It requires you to sneak around the Lynel, ride on Prince Sidon, and swim up a waterfall. It's fairly exciting. But Rito is the worst. It involves floating, shooting some targets, and then floating again. It's not that good. There's a distinct lack of urgency in the story. We never see the extent of Ganon's power. His minions were able to defeat Link, but now they're just walking around the overworld doing nothing. But Majora's Mask had a frickin' moon that is coming towards you. The purple goop you find everywhere feels out of place. It's connected to an eyeball sometimes, but other times it's not. Swimming in the game is also very bad. I was not able to swim across a small river. It seemed that they had to gimp to swimming, so you're forced to use your fancy new ice blocks. The Wii U features in the game were largely scrapped, except for a few shrine motion controls. The gamepad also had a nice flashing screen the whole time. The enemy variety is also very lacking. Without counting in the color variations, you got Bokoblins, Zolfos, Moblins, Lynels, the Yiga Master, and the Yiga Soldiers. Now, comparing that against Ocarina of Time, Poe is Anubis, Armos, Baby Dodongo, Stalfos, Stingers, Torchlight, Wolfos. Where are the Greedas? Where are the like-likes in Breath of the Wild? The Iron Knuckles were some of my favorite enemies across the entire series. Redeads gave me nightmares. Maybe you disagree with some of my points. That's fine. The game is still a very good game, but I feel previous Zeldas such as Ocarina and Majora's were a lot better. While those games took you on an unforgettable adventure, this game requires you to craft your own, which can vary depending on how you play.